Nolan Arenado wants to play for the Boston Red Sox in 2025. Is this a viable option? Would he be a good fit in Boston? More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And it's completely free, so you have nothing to lose really, but to continue to tune in because this is your team every day right here. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Happy Super Bowl weekend. Hope you have some fun plans and some great food that you will be indulging in on Sunday night. And hopefully you're enjoying a great halftime show by Kendrick Lamar. I personally am excited to see him perform. It should be good. And I am just really looking forward to the football season coming to a close. I do love football, but not as much as I love baseball. And usually the Super Bowl is my indication that baseball season is right around the corner. And in fact, it is. Pitchers and catchers do report to spring training next week. And a little bit later on today's show, I'm going to be going over some key info and dates in regards to spring training to get you all prepped for next week and the next month or so to come beyond that. I'm also going to be touching on the closer situation. Who's going to be the Boston Red Sox closer in 2025? Who are the options right now, and what do they bring to the table? But first, I have to talk about Nolan Arenado because his name has emerged again over the last couple days with being associated with the Boston Red Sox because it has been reported that talks between Nolan Arenado and the Cardinals and the Red Sox have kind of been amping up more over the last couple days. And earlier this offseason, the Red Sox did check in with the Cardinals on Nolan Arenado, and nothing came to fruition. But now at this point in the offseason, the Red Sox know that they still need a right-handed bat to add to their lineup. And it's become pretty clear that they are unwilling to give Alex Bregman what he hopes to get for next year. So because of that, they're finding themselves pivoting, and Nolan Arenado seems to be the choice that they are now leaning towards. And it has also been rumored that Arenado wants to come to Boston. And that's a pretty noteworthy thing because he has a full no trade clause right now in his contract with the Cardinals. And he already refused a trade to the Astros earlier this offseason. And the thing with that makes this noteworthy is because he hasn't said that he wouldn't go to Boston, and multiple people with familiarity with the situation and are close to him believe that Boston is where he wants to play. Now, it's great that somebody wants to come to Boston, but would he be a fit for this Red Sox team right now? The Cardinals have been looking to move him all winter as they are hoping to usher in a new era of younger players and start to develop some of them to be the future of their organization. And when it comes to the Red Sox and where they're at right now, he is a right-handed bat, and the Red Sox desperately need another one of those in their lineup right now, and that's the most obvious hole that they still need to fill. And not that Alex Bregman is 100% not an option, but with where the Red Sox are at right now and what he's asking for, because it was also reported again yesterday that he still won't budge on wanting a 6 or 7 year deal. That, to me, indicates the Red Sox are pulling further and further away from wanting him because they don't want to commit to that many years. But acquiring Arenado would force Craig Breslow and the Red Sox to make other decisions elsewhere on the roster because he is a third baseman. He's a 12-year MLB veteran who will turn 34 in April. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, is the age there. He's put together an incredible career. There's no doubt about it, for both the Rockies from 2013 to 2020 and then the Cardinals in 2021 to 24. He earned 8 All-Star nods and 10 Gold Glove awards at that side of the field. He led the National League in home runs 3 times, with 42 in 2015, 41 in 2016, and 38 in 2018 while he was in Colorado. And he led the majors in RBIs in 2015 with 130 and in 2016 with 133. He did have a bit of a down season for the Cardinals last year when he slashed a 272 batting average, 325 on base percentage, and 394 slugging percentage, and hit 16 homers to go with 71 RBIs. His 719 OPS, which is on base plus slugging percentage, in 2024 was his lowest since his rookie year in 2013, but he owns an 857 OPS for his career. So that's something to keep an eye on. Is this the indication that he's starting to decline? Is the age starting to catch up with him? Because yes, he's had a remarkable career, but the rest of his career doesn't really matter when you're bringing in a player now. You want him to be able to be productive now in a Boston Red Sox uniform. So even though overall his career has been good, that 2024 season that he had raises some concerns when it comes to the Red Sox potentially acquiring him to join their team this upcoming season. So he has also had success at Fenway Park. However, it's been in a small sample size. He's 18 for 54, which is a 333 batting average with a 362 on base percentage and 704 slugging to go with 6 homers, 2 doubles, and 15 RBIs in 13 games at that ballpark. So again, not the biggest sample size, can't really pick up a huge pattern from that, but we do know from those numbers that he has found some success at Fenway, so that could work in his favor. He also reportedly wants to come to Boston, despite the fact that he has that full no trade clause in his contract, which means he would have to approve any trade that he gets. When he initially signed this contract with the Rockies in 2019, and then obviously ended up with the Cardinals, and then vetoed a trade to the Astros earlier this offseason. And there are people around him who believe that Boston is where he wants to play. People who think that he wants to play in Boston because of the fact that he is getting older and he wants to play for a reputable organization, which he feels like Boston is. And his desire to come to Boston could work in the Red Sox's favor. It's unclear what the team would have to give up in return. And that's definitely the next thing I want to touch on here, because the Red Sox, if they were to acquire Nolan Arenado, would have to be really careful about this situation because there are some risks with him. It's not a foolproof plan. Yes, he's a veteran right-handed bat, which could be really beneficial to help out with some of the younger players on the team. But there are risks in terms of him being able to stay durable at his age and the numbers we saw from him in 2024. So I'm not giving up a huge haul for him if I'm the Boston Red Sox. And that's going to be the biggest key here. I don't believe it's worth giving up a huge haul. And on top of all of this, what makes me a little bit nervous is that the Cardinals do have their own advantage when it comes to the Red Sox prospects, because former Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom now serves as an advisor for Cardinals President of Baseball Ops, John Mazzoliak. And Bloom is going to take over for him after the 2025 season. So that is a little bit of a concern for us because he had a big hand in building the Red Sox top-ranked farm system right now. He's really good at identifying talent at the younger levels. So the Red Sox won't be able to pull a fast one over the Cardinals in terms of prospects because he could be very calculated in terms of the prospects that he were to acquire from Boston, which is tough because he might snub the Red Sox of prospects who are better than what Arenado's worth. So that makes me a little bit hesitant about this trade. Arenado is signed through 2027 right now, but his annual salary goes down over the next 3 seasons. He's set to make $32 million this season, $27 million in 2026, and $15 million in the final year of his deal. Of the $74 million he's still owed, the Rockies will pay $5 million in each of the next 2 seasons. That would put the Red Sox on the hook for $64 million over the next 3 seasons, but that's much less than what Bregman is looking for this winter. So the Red Sox reportedly would prefer to pay the final 3 years of Arenado's contract over giving Bregman a potential 6-year deal. And St. Louis will likely pay a portion of his remaining salary. They just don't want to pay it in full anymore. So getting him off their books would help them a lot. And in the Red Sox case, it could help them to compromise by acquiring that veteran right-handed bat, but not necessarily by doing it in a way that involves them having to commit to Bregman. Now, what's the fit here? Because this is the biggest question to touch on with this. Unlike Bregman, who could move to second base if he signs with the Red Sox, Arenado would come in and play third base, which would give Boston a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. But then what would it mean for Devers? He could potentially move to first base, but then there wouldn't be a place for Tristan Casas to play. So that most likely wouldn't happen. So then that would mean, okay, we're going to move Devers to be the full-time DH. But then what would happen with Masataka Yoshida? Some of that could work itself out depending on the trade package the Red Sox would send to St. Louis. Maybe Chaim Bloom would be willing to take on Yoshida if the Red Sox offered to pay some of his remaining salary. Maybe. I don't know that they would be convinced enough to want to take him, but it is possible that if the Red Sox agree to take on a good portion of some of that salary, at least they might consider it. But if the Red Sox do end up trading for Arenado, there has to be another shoe to drop because it just doesn't make sense to have him here with the makeup of the players that they do have unless they move some players around. And the reality is having Yoshida here right now makes things complicated. He was a guy who the Red Sox really should have moved this offseason to create more roster flexibility to be able to bring in a guy like Arenado, but they do still have Yoshida at the moment. So if they trade for Arenado, they're going to have to figure out that situation with him. Is Arenado a good fit? Still very difficult to say in terms of what he could provide on the field, but from an off the field perspective, he certainly could be because he's a veteran leader that the Red Sox are definitely coveting and need right now. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but I definitely think it could be a possibility that we see Arenado in a Boston Red Sox uniform very soon. And coming up, who's going to be the closer for the Boston Red Sox? That's been a big topic of discussion this offseason, and I'm going to be touching on that a little bit next. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, Prize Picks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 players' projections, and if you're right, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick and you're cashing out. This week, I'm looking at the board and selecting more for Travis Kelce on receiving yards and more for a quarterback's passing yardage. What I love most, fast, safe withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account in as little as 15 minutes. Check out the promos tab to tail any of the super sweet Millie winners big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Definitely a game changer for you if you just download the Prize Picks app and use that code LOCKEDONMLB. You can have lots of fun when it comes to the big game this weekend and even beyond that after football season is officially over and it heads into baseball season. You can do a similar thing on the Prize Picks app for baseball. So definitely download the app today. It'll give you tons of different options. One pending question surrounding the Red Sox when it comes to this offseason is who's going to be the closer? Because the Red Sox did not go out and acquire a definitive closer this offseason, somebody who they know would close games, for example, a guy like Tanner Scott. They did not bring in a guy like that. So therefore, it raises questions surrounding who is going to be the closer in 2025. And there are a few options that the Red Sox could potentially have closed games. And one of those options is Liam Hendriks, who they acquired before the 2024 season and was unable to pitch because he was in rehab recovering from Tommy John surgery, but he is back and ready to pitch in 2025. And he has some elite years as closer under his belt from 2019 to 2022, which he split between the Oakland Athletics and the Chicago White Sox. His final 2 years with the A's from 2019 to 2020 saw him assume the closing role where he posted sub-2 ERAs, sub-1 whips, sub-200 averages, as well as K per 9 totals above 13 in each season, with 25 saves in 85 innings in 2019 and 14 saves in 25.1 innings in the COVID-shortened 2020 campaign. Those are all very good numbers, basically pitching below a 2 ERA in those 2 seasons and averaging strikeouts per 9 innings of 13, getting lots of swings and misses. So I really like that a lot, and the fact that he was able to show some success in the closer role. Then after signing with the White Sox ahead of the 2021 campaign, he posted back-to-back seasons with a sub-3 ERA, a sub-215 average against, and 30-plus saves in both 2021 and 2022. And not only that, but also his strikeout stuff ticked up after the move to the South Side too, as he posted his 2 highest K per 9 totals of his career those seasons, with a 14.32 total in 2021 and a 13.27 total in 2022. But 2022 was the last year that he has been able to consistently pitch. In 2023, he pitched in just 5 innings due to missing time, undergoing cancer treatment, and then requiring Tommy John surgery upon his return to the bullpen. So obviously that all is a bit of a concern because he hasn't pitched consistently in a bit. So because of the fact that his recovery from Tommy John also saw him miss the entirety of the 2024 season in Boston, it's hard to know what he's going to bring to the table. But when he's healthy, he's an elite strikeout reliever, as he's never ranked below the 97th percentile in strikeout rate in his last 4 complete seasons, which were from 2019 to 2022, with a 95 plus mile per hour fastball with strong whiff-inducing breaking pitches with his slider and his curveball. So he definitely has good off-speed stuff, which is something that could really benefit and help him in a closing capacity. But what I worry about is the unknown of not knowing how competitive he'll be able to be as a closer, because it's a lot of pressure to put on somebody to expect them to go out there and be the closer when they've missed as much time as they have. So I know the stuff for sure is there when he's healthy, but my hesitancy is definitely, is he going to be able to be effective in the closing role because of how much time he's missed? Another option for the Red Sox in the closing role is Aroldis Chapman, who they acquired earlier in this offseason. There have been few closers in MLB history who have been as fear-inducing as him. He's always been known for that electrifying fastball that he has, which even at age 36, still averages in the upper 90s and occasionally touches triple digits, which is absolutely insane. When that guy throws a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, I don't think there are many things more intimidating than that. And in terms of a track record as a closer, he has a really polished resume, as in the 8 seasons from 2012 to 2019, split between the Reds, Cubs, and Yankees. He posted a sub-3 ERA, K per 9 totals above 13, and 30-plus saves in 7 of those 8 seasons. And he also posted a sub-200 average against in all 8 campaigns. So average against means opposing hitters had below a 200 batting average against him, which is ridiculously good. but he hasn't been a regular closer since 2021. And while his strikeout numbers have always remained high, his walk rates have spiked in recent years as he went from having just one season with a walk per nine total above 5 from 2012 to 2020 to 4 consecutive seasons with walks per nine rates above 550 from 2021 to 2024. So that there is a concern because the Red Sox did have a problem with walks in 2024. So that's something they need to cut down on. So that's something to be wary of with Chapman is he might give some free passes. We did see a decent amount of that with Kenley Jansen in 2024 as he was an absolute roller coaster when he was pitching, but he generally was able to get the job done. So that's something to take note of when it comes to Chapman. Pros and cons. Pros, when he was a closer, he was one of the best to ever do it. Cons, he has not been a closer in a bit. So he might be better used as a setup man in 2025 because that's where he's more used to pitching now. And over the last couple seasons, when he's been a setup man, he's been able to pitch very well in that role. So if the Red Sox want to maximize what they're getting from him, that might be the role that they should be using him in rather than trying to force him into the closing spot when he hasn't pitched there in a while. But he is definitely another option the Red Sox could be considering in terms of a closer. And another option is a breakout star who dominated out of the bullpen last year in Justin Slaten. He did miss some time due to an injury, but when he was out there, he was arguably the Red Sox best reliever in 2024. He went from a Rule 5 draft pick last winter to a key late inning reliever out of the Red Sox bullpen. He was excellent in first taste of big league action, posting a 2.93 ERA and a 2.21 average against in 55.1 innings. He managed decently high strikeout rates too, with his 25.9% posting ranking in the 72nd percentile of league arms. So definitely pretty good. And he paired that with an extremely impressive walk rate, posting a 4.0% total, which placed him in the 97th percentile. So he got a good amount of swings and misses while not walking lots of guys. He also sports a pretty diverse pitching arsenal, as his 4-pitch mix includes 3 pitches that saw opposing hitters average fall below 250 and slugging percentage below 355 against them. So he has some solid pitches that he can use. His cutter was used 37.7% of the time last year and had a 247 batting average against. His four-seam fastball was used 29.2% of the time and had just a 151 batting average against it. His sweeper was used 24.7% of the time with a 279 batting average against, and the curveball was used 8.4% of the time with a 150 batting average against. So he doesn't use the curveball as much because I don't think he's as confident in that pitch, but it was really hard for opposing hitters to hit it. The four-seam fastball is definitely a pitch that he throws really well as that cutter that he throws pretty frequently. But the point is that somebody makes for a good reliever when they have 4 pitches that they can pull out of their back pocket and throw well utilizing any of those pitches. So that's what I really like about Slaten's arsenal is that he was able to be dominant with any of those pitches. It can be a difficult task for a Rule 5 pick to have immediate staying power beyond their mandatory 1 year of MLB service time upon being drafted, but he not only stepped up to occasion, but he excelled and played a huge part in the Red Sox improvement in 2024. And he was definitely a piece of the puzzle that after the 2024 season, I walked away saying, hopefully they can keep him around for a long time because he was one of the most consistent and reliable pieces in the Red Sox bullpen. That being said, we do have to keep in mind that this is still a small major league sample size for the 27-year-old righty, and relief pitching is arguably the most volatile position in baseball. There's a lot of pressure if you're throwing in the bullpen in some capacity. So definitely a little bit of a risk to have him jump into the closing role and have him be relied on in that spot right now. But at the same time, he proved that he has the means and the stuff to be able to do it. It's just a matter of, can he handle that kind of pressure? So in the reality, when you look at these three candidates who potentially could be the closer, there are risks to all three, pros and cons to all three. But if you take all three next to each other and you have to make a decision right now on who the closer should be, I believe it still should be Justin Slaten. He just did everything particularly well, from strong surface level stats to also solid underlying metrics. And he was at minimum above average across the board during the 2024 season, whether that comes to pitching run value, fastball run value, breaking run value, off speed run value, and just lots of different categories where he was at least right above average. And I believe that that is the means to be able to be a closer, and you can always change it during the season. For example, if Liam Hendriks is pitching in the 7th or 8th inning and is consistently pitching well, then maybe you give him the option to pitch in that closing spot. But to start the season, I would feel the most confident in Slaten because he showed a lot of capabilities of being a really strong pitcher. So if it's my choice, I'm going with Slaten, but I understand why they might want to go with a more veteran guy who has experience closing. So whatever they do decide, we'll have to see, but definitely options for sure. And there are multiple ways that it could go depending on who they pick. So we'll have to see what happens there. But spring training is basically here. So coming up, I'm going to be going over some key dates and info that you should know as you prepare yourself for next week when the Red Sox start spring training. Attending NFL playoff games is an unforgettable experience that brings fans together. I remember the excitement and energy of a playoff game I attended a couple of years ago, and I'm looking forward to making new memories this season. Attending playoff games really does inspire you to connect with other fans and bond over how stressed you are about the game. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I recently used Game Time Picks to find tickets for an upcoming playoff game. Browsing through the deals was simple, and I found great value for all kinds of seats around the venue. The Super Deal was especially impressive, offering the best value for the event. The app's features, like seat views before you buy and all-in pricing with no surprise fees at checkout, made the experience smooth and reliable. Plus, the on-time ticket delivery and lowest price guarantee gave me peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. It really does guarantee you the lowest price. I can't say enough about how Game Time has changed my life, and it could change yours too. So definitely head to Game Time whenever you're going to another event. Spring training is basically here. Pitchers and catchers report next week on February 12th, and it's off and running from there. And we are going to start having Red Sox baseball back on our TVs again. So in terms of key dates and info that you should know when it comes to spring training. So the equipment truck is en route to Southwest Florida right now after it left Boston on Monday, and players are beginning to trickle into the Fenway South complex in Fort Myers. By the middle of next week, spring training will be fully underway, with Alex Cora returning to lead the Red Sox for his 7th non-consecutive season. Newcomers like Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler, and Aroldis Chapman will definitely be intriguing to watch throughout camp, as well as top prospects Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell, who both have a potential chance of making the opening day roster. So there are definitely some intriguing storylines to follow heading into spring training. And Tuesday, February 11th is when the Fenway South complex opens for the first time. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow and manager Alex Cora will address the media on that day. Then on Wednesday, February 12th, Red Sox hold their first official workout for pitchers and catchers. Then on Friday, February 14th, Grapefruit League Media Day is held in Bradenton. Breslow and Cora are expected to be in attendance along with other Florida-based managers and executives. And then on Monday, February 17th, the Red Sox will hold their first official full squad workout with all players who are expected in camp, which is very exciting. Historically, this is also the day when President/CEO Sam Kennedy, or also way in the past other members of ownership, address the media, but now he is just the spokesperson for ownership. Then on Tuesday, February 18th, the Red Sox have their photo day in Fort Myers, followed by their first quote-unquote game of spring training, which is the exhibition opener against Northeastern on Friday, February 21st at 1:05 p.m. at JetBlue Park. Saturday, February 22nd, the Red Sox travel to Port Charlotte to face the Rays in their Grapefruit League opener at 1:05 p.m. Then on Sunday, February 23rd, they host the Blue Jays for their Grapefruit League home opener at 1:05 p.m. ET. Monday, February 24th, rivalry game. They host the Yankees at 1:05 p.m. at JetBlue Park. Then on Thursday, March 13th, Red Sox prospects take on Rays prospects as part of the spring breakout series in Port Charlotte at 7:05 p.m. ET. So that'll be a very exciting thing to watch too. Friday, March 14th, another key date. Red Sox host Futures at Fenway South, a 7-inning exhibition game featuring top minor league prospects at 1:05 p.m. that day. Sunday, March 23rd, the Red Sox host the Twins to close out the Grapefruit League schedule. That's a game that's at 1:05 p.m. ET, last game of the spring training schedule. And then Monday, March 24th to Tuesday, March 25th, the Red Sox play 2 exhibition games in Monterrey, Mexico against the Monterrey Sultanes as part of MLB's 2025 World Tour. And then after that, the season does start. So those are the key dates to take note of as we get ready to get into spring training here and watch some Red Sox baseball. Alex Cora did say we knew going into the offseason, the pitching part of it, we needed to get better. For how much we talk about the progress of the kids last year, what they did, the 30 starts and all that, we fell short. And the deeper, the better. We added some capable guys with stuff that can help us and in the bullpen too. So Alex Cora is very excited about the pitching heading into 2025, and the offense is something that they presume will continue to grow and produce some highly competitive numbers in that regard. So at the spring training facility in Fort Myers, the Red Sox will do their practices and play a lot of their games there. Workouts are open to all fans at no cost. So if you're interested in attending that, you definitely can. And then the games, for the most part, are going to be broadcasted on NESN. So if you're watching from home, you should be able to catch some of those games, at least when you can, on the NESN broadcast. So definitely all very exciting as the Red Sox look to prepare for opening day, which is going to be here before you know it. This next month and a half will fly by. And I know I personally am so excited about it. And I'm excited to see some of these storylines and see how some of these players look heading into this upcoming season for the Boston Red Sox. So I do appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. And next, you should check out Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully. He will keep you up to date on all things going on around the league. So if you want to know what's going on with other Major League Baseball teams, that is the home for you. You can check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.